So these are notes on Locke, Demosthenes, and the Art of Manipulation from Ender's Game, Chapter 9. You should be taking notes on this information as it will show up later. So a quick little synopsis of Chapter 9. Valentine knows Peter for who and what he really is, evil and power-hungry. She also realizes that, like Peter, she's able to manipulate other people. Peter discovers her fears, and she can persuade others to do what she wants. Peter figures out that Russia is preparing for a land war, and he wants power and has a plan to take over the world. With Valentine's help, he can rule over something worthwhile instead of torturing animals. Valentine and Peter start using the internet to communicate political ideas. Valentine's alter ego is Demosthenes, a radical. Peter's alter ego is Locke, a moderate. So who were these two historical figures? Well, John Locke was born in 1632 in England and died in 1704. He was very influential. He is known as the father of liberal philosophy and attended Christ Church in Oxford. He studied logic, metaphysics, classics, and medicine. And in 1666, he met Anthony Ashley Cooper, later known as the first Earl of Shaftesbury, and they formed a very close friendship. It was said that this helped Locke professionally. He wrote some very influential essays, the first being Concerning Human Understanding in 1689. And basically he said here that knowledge was not the discovery of anything either innate or outside of the individual, but simply the accumulation of, quote, facts derived from sensory experience. So like our personal experiences in life. Then the two treaties of government in 1690 basically rejected the divine rights of kings. Locke said that societies formed governments by mutual agreement. And so when a king loses the consent of the governed, a society may remove him. And this was almost verbatim in Thomas Jefferson's 1776 Declaration of Independence. In his Thoughts Concerning Education in 1693, Locke argued for a broadened syllabus and better treatment of students. And in Letters Concerning Toleration, which was written between 1689 and 92, he suggested the government should respect freedom of religion except when the dissenting belief was a threat to public order. Some of the more popular quotes from Locke would be these. There are many. These are just a few. I've always thought the actions of men the best interpreters of their thoughts. We are like chameleons. We take our hue and the color of our moral character from those who are around us. All mankind, being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. And last, education begins the gentleman, but reading, good company, and reflection must finish him. So our next historical figure is Demosthenes. Born in 384 BCE in Athens, Greece. He died October 12th, 322 in Argolis. He was an Athenian statesman and the greatest Greek orator. He overcame a speech impediment, lots of challenges in his lifetime. His speeches roused Athens to oppose Philip of Macedon and Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was Philip's son. And again, some obstacles that Demosthenes overcame. His guardian actually cheated him out of most of his inheritance from his father's estate. And so this, combined with what was called a delicate physique, pushed Demosthenes into training as an orator. He studied legal rhetoric as well, and becoming, someone who publicly spoke for politics was a very challenging career choice. You had to be really good at what you did, and he was. In 354, he convinced the citizens of Athens to build up their navy after a threat to Athens from the king of Persia. And in this particular speech, some of the themes that really ran throughout all of his speeches were, remaining independent but willing to make allies when threatened. So again, not really wanting to rely on anyone else, but maintain that sense of independence but having help when needed, as well as fiscal responsibilities. And after this speech, his career really took off. People described him as having a very scathing wit, a severe, forbidding personality. He realized very quickly the advantage of making an audience lose respect for one of his opponents, and he used that to his advantage. During the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, his name was synonymous with eloquence. So very, very influential. Some of his strategies to even overcome his speech impediment are used today, such as speaking in front of a mirror, or putting pebbles. He put pebbles in his mouth. Some people today put marbles in, and talking around them. So how does this relate to Ender's Game? Well, as I said earlier, Peter and Valentine are going to manipulate public opinion by pretending to be like Locke and Demosthenes. So Peter's going to pretend to be Locke, who is a moderate, kind of ironic for that character. And he is going to say, hey, you know what, we need to talk out our political differences. Where Valentine is going to pretend to be Demosthenes and claiming like we'll go to war over this. And so the two of them working together can plan out their political essays, if you will, their posts, and figure out the best way to manipulate people. And there is an art to manipulation. So typically, manipulation isn't necessarily getting what you want, but it's getting other people to want to do what you want them to do. I'll give you a moment to let that sink in. And so the strategies to do this would be knowing what the people want, getting their attention, building trust, persuading them. And I thought a good quote that went with this is from Maya Angelou, who said, "People may forget what you said or did, but they will remember how you made them feel." And so that's really an important part of the manipulation that we're going to see. Also having patience, showing or explaining the benefits or rewards, and then just making people curious, which maybe comes sooner in the list rather than later. But these are all strategies for the art of manipulation. And so as we read the book and continue to read the book, maybe look for places where Valentine, Peter, or any other characters are utilizing any of the manipulative strategies previously mentioned. And you might even want to postmark it in the book to kind of bring it up during a discussion. So those are the basics about these historical figures. If you're curious and you want to know more, I encourage you to, do some research online and see what else you can find.